Every year, Justin Herbert is penciled into the NFL's top 10 quarterback list. But in 4 seasons, he's never won a playoff game. He was built for greatness, a cannon arm, film room smarts, the look of an NFL quarterback. But somewhere between the promise and the playoffs, the story slowed down.
Justin Herbert has never been in an MVP conversation. Tua's in an MVP conversation. Jalen Hurts is in an MVP conversation. Justin Herbert has a whole bunch of statistics, but they are empty.
And then I see Justin Herbert at 7, who hasn't won a playoff game. This boy been to more Super Bowls than you won playoff games. And we're talking about Justin Herbert's a better quarterback than him.
Justin Herbert was supposed to be the NFL's next golden boy, the big-armed prodigy who torched defenses for decades. But 5 years in, he's got video game numbers, the Rookie of the Year trophy, but not much else.
Herbert hasn't done squat. Herbert is crowned by us in the media, and until Herbert actually wins something, I'm tired of seeing Herbert being ranked up there amongst the best.
So what happened? To know the truth, we must go back to where it all started. If you grew up in Eugene, Oregon, you knew the name Justin Herbert. Born right down the street from the Oregon Stadium, raised under the shadow of the Oregon O, and obsessed with the Ducks before he could even spell quarterback. Even as a 10-year-old, the arm was already the stuff of neighborhood legend. Former NFL quarterback Chris Miller saw Herbert at a youth camp, roll left, and fire a 30-yard dart, and said, "Oh man, we gotta keep track of this kid." Right then and there, they knew something about little Justin was different. At Sheldon High School, Justin wasn't just a football guy. He played baseball, basketball, but when he picked up the football, the thing came out of his hand like it owed him money. Scouting reports called him raw, but with freakish arm talent. But then, the script flipped. His junior year, he was lighting defenses up in the first 3 games of the season. 688 yards, 10 touchdowns, and then everything just stopped. He broke his femur, and just like that, the season was over. And with that, slowed down his recruiting buzz. The big name schools started to disappear. For a while, no FBS offers, just some polite interest from schools like Portland State and Northern Arizona. The injury didn't just hurt, it put his football future in jeopardy.
I have a couple offers from Montana State, Portland State, Northern Arizona, and I don't think I have any visits up soon. I'm gonna kind of see how this year goes, focus on our team right now, and then make a decision later.
Despite the hardships, Justin refused to be a what-if story. He attacked rehab and came back with vengeance for his senior year. 3,100 yards, 37 touchdowns, a 10-2 record, and a film tape that looked like a video game. Effortless deep balls, scrambling like he was playing backyard tag, and an arm strength that made defenders turn their heads before the ball was even there. It wasn't until the final weeks of his senior season, as Justin was torturing defenses, that Oregon itself finally took notice. They had a QB decommit, and that local kid with the cannon arm was right there. In October of 2015, they finally offered him an official scholarship, and Justin, he jumped right on it. He stayed home, and the Eugene prodigy was about to suit up for the team he grew up watching. Herbert entered Oregon in 2016 with modest fanfare, a local 3-star recruit who many assumed would sit and learn, but fate had other plans. Just 5 games into his freshman year, a string of injuries to older quarterbacks opened the door, and Herbert seized the starting job. He became the first true freshman to start at quarterback for Oregon since 1983, stepping onto the field he used to watch from the stands. But the learning curve was steep. That 2016 Ducks team struggled, their worst season in 25 years, finishing at 4-8. The growing pains were real. The 18-year-old Herbert even endured some boos from the home crowd during those tough losses. But in between those losses, he showed flashes of something special. In his second start, he tied the school record with 6 touchdown passes in a single game. That night, he racked up 258 yards in those 6 scores, nearly rallying the Ducks in a 52-49 double OT shootout. 19 touchdowns to just 4 picks and 1,900 yards on the season? Not bad for a freshman. Oregon went through a wild period of change over his 4 years. Justin played for 3 different head coaches and offensive systems, from the spread to the up-tempo attack to the power pistol. Despite the turmoil and a broken collarbone that cost him 5 games as a sophomore, his performance improved each season. He grew from the skinny hometown freshman into a strong seasoned leader by his junior year. But still, critics weren't sold. He was too quiet, not fiery enough, plays it too safe. Scouts nitpicked at his demeanor, one even calling him quirky, and questioned if he was a leader of men. In the sport obsessed with alpha personalities, Herbert was more Clark Kent than Superman, and that's just simply who he was. This is what his high school coach had to say about his personality.
And it's not like he was a bad leader before. He's taken our team kind of by the horns, if you will, and done a great job of leading. Didn't miss a summer workout. He gave up some opportunities to go do some things that probably would have helped him to get exposure, and he said, "Coach, I'm not going to do any of it if I have to miss one of our workouts." And to me, that's leadership at its finest. Not barking at people and telling them what to do, but followed by, he leads by example, and our guys follow.
Justin heard the critics. Instead of firing back publicly, he quietly worked to disprove them. Senior year, he decided to rewrite the narrative. He embraced a more vocal leader role, pushing himself out of his comfort zone and rallying the Ducks in tough moments. The results were storybook. Oregon went 12-2, won the Pac-12, and punched a ticket to the Rose Bowl. In the biggest game of his career, Justin delivered a gritty, willful performance. Known for his arm, he shocked Wisconsin by beating them with his legs, ripping off 3 clutch rushing touchdowns, including a 30-yard go-ahead score late in the fourth quarter. The Ducks were victorious in a 1-point thriller, and Justin was named the Rose Bowl MVP. His final college stat line cemented his legacy as a Ducks legend. He threw for 3,400 yards and 32 touchdowns against just 5 interceptions in his senior season, and adding 4 touchdowns, which 3 of those came in the Rose Bowl alone. He left Oregon with records and accolades, a Pac-12 title, a Rose Bowl MVP, and his name plastered across the program's record books. He finished with over 10,000 career passing yards and 95 total touchdowns, placing him near the top of Oregon's all-time list, right alongside the other Eugene hero, Marcus Mariota. But by 2020, the NFL wasn't quite all the way sold yet. He wasn't Joe Burrow. Burrow had the Heisman, the swagger, the storybook LSU season. He wasn't Tua. Tua had the Alabama mystique in the championship moment. Herbert was the quiet kid from Oregon who they thought wouldn't be able to lead an NFL locker room. ESPN analyst Emilio Acho, within hours of the combine, gave his honest opinion.
To me, Justin Herbert, he could potentially be one of the biggest mistakes of the draft because you overdraft him, which means you have to play him immediately.
I'd be scared to death to draft him early. I'd be scared to death, but he's not going to have the moments that Joe Burrow had.
Analyst Justin was getting tired of the same old narrative around his name, and he let it be known at the NFL Combine that he was a changed man. Critics said Herbert played with more mechanics than magic. His ball placement to lead receivers could be better. His deep fades and shots lacked loft, and he struggled to escape pressure with agility. It wasn't just about his arm strength, it was about the charisma and command of a locker room. But there were some analysts who swore he was the most physically gifted quarterback in the class. The pre-draft discourse was buzzing. Was Herbert a surefire star or a risky bet? Diverse or not, his hometown journey and college pedigree made teams believe he could be their guy. 2020, for the first time in history, the NFL draft was virtual, and Justin Herbert was about to hear his name be called. But make no mistake, he wasn't walking into the league as the golden boy. He was the 3rd quarterback off the board, behind Joe Burrow at 1 and Tua at 5.
The Los Angeles Chargers select Justin Herbert, quarterback, Oregon.
The scouting report? Yeah, the arm was ridiculous, maybe the strongest in class, but that's not what people were talking about. The whispers were about him, too introverted to lead an NFL locker room, doesn't have the killer instinct, just another tall quarterback with a cannon arm and no edge. Yet, behind that soft-spoken, humble exterior with a fierce competitor that few outside of Oregon really knew, the LA Chargers took a chance on him, and Herbert came into the league with a lot to prove. He wasn't the media darling like Burrow, nor the hype celebrity prospect like Tua. Instead, he was the quiet kid with the flowing surfer hair and big arm, a potential star that critics feared might not shine under the NFL bright lights. Could he lead? Does he really love football? Will he take charge of a team? The doubts kept coming, but Justin was about to write his own script. He wouldn't do it with words or rah-rah speeches, but with what he did best: throwing the football. His NFL story took a dramatic turn in week 2 of his rookie season, in a way nobody could have imagined. The plan was simple. He would sit behind Tyrod Taylor, learn the ropes, and maybe get some late season reps. But then, football history does what football history does. It gets weird. Minutes before kickoff, Charger coaches pulled Herbert aside and told him Tyrod was out with a freak accident.
ESPN is saying a team doctor accidentally punctured his lung just before kickoff.
Oh, and his opponent, Patrick Mahomes and the defending Super Bowl champions, Kansas City Chiefs. Most rookies would panic. Herbert had no time. First drive, 8 plays, 79 yards, capped by a 4-yard touchdown run. The kid was fearless. He was out there running over defenders and knocking them out the game.
Oh, and he is hammered shoulder high, and actually
the Chiefs and everyone watching were caught off guard. Justin proceeded to duel Patrick throw for throw. He launched a 55-yard bomb, threaded tight windows, and showed off poise well beyond his 22 years. By the game's end, the rookie had 311 passing yards, a touchdown through the air, and a rushing touchdown on a 66% completion rate. This wasn't just a solid debut, it was a statement. The Chargers ultimately fell to a field goal in OT, but Justin had served notice. The kid with no killer instinct had just gone toe-to-toe with the best on a moment's notice and balled out.
Justin Herbert incredibly impressed me. 311 yards when you didn't find out you were starting until minutes before the game.
And I think everybody saw immediately, like, oh, this guy's a dude. Like Justin Herbert, all the questions on whether or not he could handle a big city and an NFL or the NFL and be commanding in the huddle. Is he too docile to be an NFL quarterback? No. He is not. He's the complete opposite. He celebrates very hard. He seems to be chill. He knocked the motherfucker out. Yep. He is a dude.
From there, Herbert didn't slow down. He completely took off. The Chargers threw him into the fire against Hall of Fame quarterbacks, and he came out throwing haymakers. Week 4 at Tampa, dueling Tom Brady, 290 yards, 3 touchdowns. Week 5 versus the Saints, under the Monday Night Lights against Drew Brees, 264 yards, 4 touchdowns. 2 narrow losses, sure, but the message was clear. This rookie wasn't just surviving, he was going toe-to-toe with the big dogs.
You know he's tall, you know he has an arm and everything. He's also now showing the kind of intangibles that you need to see from a young pro in a game situation. I've been very impressed.
By the season's end, the numbers were absurd. 31 touchdown passes, an NFL rookie record, 4,300 passing yards, second most ever by a rookie, and 5 rushing scores for good measure, 8 300-yard games, the most by a rookie in league history, rookie records for completions, and 6 games with at least 3 passing touchdowns. In a season where he wasn't supposed to play right away, Justin ended up rewriting the record books. Unsurprisingly, he was named the Offensive Rookie of the Year in a landslide after carrying a previous 5-11 team to a respectable finish. The quiet kid from Eugene had let his stats and play do all the talking, and they spoke volumes. The media that once questioned if he had that it factor was now bridging to the front of the bandwagon. Herbert is already elite, a top 5 quarterback in the league. The next great one is here.
Is Herbert now on a level, in your view, with the great Patrick Mahomes?
I think he's ascending to that space, and they've done a tremendous job in protecting him. That was the issue last year, and he's ascended to one of the top 10 quarterbacks in this league.
They started comparing his arm to Josh Allen, his poise to Andrew Luck, and his rookie impact to Dan Marino. In 12 months, Justin went from a does he have it to he might be the guy who has more than anybody else. The introverted biology major from Eugene hadn't changed a bit, but the league, the hype machine around him, would never look at him the same way again. By year 2, Justin wasn't just good, he was putting up video game numbers. He set franchise records with 5,1400 passing yards and 38 touchdowns in 2021, becoming the first Chargers quarterback ever to cross the 5,000-yard mark. Those stats put him top 5 league-wide in both categories, firmly cementing his status as an elite young gun. Week after week, he delivered Madden-type numbers and jaw-dropping throws that lit up social media, like one 64-yard bomb in the air versus the Giants, which left fans watching in awe, causing a chain reaction on social media as clips of the throw went viral. By the end of 2022, Herbert again ranked among the NFL's passing leaders, 4,700 yards, and earned a Pro Bowl nod. It seemed like nothing on the field was beyond his arm's reach, and the Chargers games became must-watch TV just to see what Justin could do.
Since Justin Herbert has came into the National Football League, he has more yards and touchdown passes than any quarterback to ever play this game in the first 3 years.
But football is funny. It doesn't really care about your passing charts or your arm strength. It cares about winning in January. After 2 seasons of stats padding his way into the history books, he finally got his shot, his first postseason, the Chargers' first playoff game since 2018. And in the first half of the wildcard game in Jacksonville, Justin and the Chargers looked like they were about to end the night early. 27-0, that was the score. The Jags were dead. The Chargers had forced 5 turnovers, Herbert had already thrown a touchdown, and the cameras were catching him grinning on the sideline. And then it happened. Jacksonville didn't just chip away, they erased the lead, slowly at first, then just kept finding the end zone. Meanwhile, the Chargers offense, the same one that steamrolled the first half, went ice cold. 3 points in the final 30 minutes. Herbert's final stat line, 273 yards, 1 touchdown, 0 picks. Clean, efficient, but powerless to stop history. The final score, 31-30, the third biggest comeback in NFL playoff history, the biggest blown lead in Chargers history, and the first time ever a team lost a playoff game with a +5 turnover margin. The post-game reaction, a split jury. One camp said that's on the coaches. Herbert can't call his own plays.
I tweeted before they kicked the field goal to win the game, if the Chargers lose this game, Brandon Staley should not be allowed on the plane ride home.
But others pointed fingers, noting that franchise quarterbacks are expected to close those games. Fair or not, the whispers grew louder that Justin should have found a way. After all, across the field was Trevor Lawrence, who had shaken off 4 early interceptions and kept fighting. Wasn't it Herbert's turn to respond? Talk shows and Twitter hot takes piled on great quarterbacks don't blow 27-0 leads. The not his fault versus the he's gotta finish the job debate raged all offseason. Even Herbert himself seemed to shoulder the pain, sitting silent in his locker room for 15 minutes post-game, fully uniformed, processing the disaster. Then went into the post-game presser and owned up to it.
As an offense, we need to do more in the second half, and that falls on us offensively. And as a quarterback, I need to perform better, and you got to be able to put up more than 3 points in the second half. And so I feel horrible for the defense for the incredible effort they put out there today, but got to be better as a team.
It was right then and there his young career had been labeled by 2 things: regular season statistical dominance and postseason emptiness. And here's the thing, it wasn't just that night. This became a pattern. Year after year, Justin has put up monster numbers, and year after year, the football gods have found a way to turn those stats into heartbreak. Since Herbert entered the league, the Chargers had endured plenty of losses in close games. In fact, no team since 2020 has lost more games despite scoring 30+ points than the Chargers, with 6 such losses with Herbert under center. It started as a rookie, setting records, winning Offensive Rookie of the Year, and finishing 7-9. 2021, the final game was winning in versus the Raiders. Herbert throws for 383 yards, 3 touchdowns, converts 4th down after 4th down to force overtime, and still loses. That's the Justin Herbert's paradox. He can give you 350 yards, 3 touchdowns, and a handful of throws that make you question physics, and still walk away with an L. That's why his career so far has been both mesmerizing and maddening. And yet, in the only column that matters most in January, it's still zeros. When the lights are the brightest, some players rise, others fade into the shadows. And so far in the postseason, Justin Herbert has been a ghost. In 4 seasons, he has taken the Chargers to the playoffs just twice. 2 appearances, 2 losses. That's it. No signature January wins, no unforgettable clutch moments. Just a pair of exits that have burned themselves into Chargers history for all the wrong reasons. Statistically, it's even uglier. 515 yards, 2 touchdowns, 4 interceptions, a 60.7 passer rating. For context, that passer rating will be ranked near the bottom of all quarterbacks this past regular NFL season. Those numbers weren't just below his standards, they're below ordinary. The same Justin Herbert who normally throws for 4,000+ yards a year suddenly looks horrible in January. The pressure of win or go home football has clearly affected his play. The low point came in a 2024 AFC wildcard game against the Texans, a game that was supposed to be Herbert's redemption arc. Instead, it turned into a horror film. Final score, Texans 32, Chargers 12. Justin had 4 interceptions, one of them a soul-crushing pick 6. To put things into perspective, he threw only 3 picks in the entire regular season, and he topped that in one night. Is it safe to call him a choke artist? And it wasn't just bad luck. Houston's rookie pass rush phenom Will Anderson Jr. lived in Herbert's face. The Texans defense forced mistakes, and the composure that Herbert was known for cracked wide open. And the numbers tell the real story. 14 of 32, 242 yards, 43% completion rate, 4 interceptions, and 1 touchdown all game. Social media didn't just react. It erupted. Memes, jokes. Herbert's legacy is cooked. Tweets were flying faster than the interceptions that he threw. And what makes this more crazy is the gap between expectation and results. Herbert entered the NFL with sky-high expectations, the prototypical franchise quarterback scouts drooled over. He delivered early on, breaking records and earning a massive $262.5 million extension in 2023 to cement him as a Chargers cornerstone. Yet, When it's playoff time, that cornerstone has crumbled. The bigger the moment, the smaller his impact. Instead of rising to the occasion, Herbert's postseason performances have left fans stunned and critics sharpening their knives.
Justin Herbert's last 3 healthy seasons, he has had to play 3 must-win games, and he has lost all 3 of them.
And that's the other part of this. Herbert is not the rookie trying to figure it out anymore. He's one of the highest paid players in the NFL. The expectations isn't just to make the playoffs, it's to win them.
Yeah, it's tough. I let the team down, and you can't turn over the ball like that and expect to win, and put the team into a tough position there with 4 turnovers like that. So
he now sits in an awkward conversation. Highest paid quarterback with nothing to show for it in January. In 2024, the top paid passers, Herbert, Jordan Love, Jared Goff, went a combined 0-3, throwing 10 interceptions. Herbert alone accounted for almost half of them. When you're cashing checks north of $50 million a year, the standard is simple: Super Bowl wins, not stats. And right now, the return on investment is looking shaky. Critics have started putting Herbert in a maybe we crowned him too early box. It's not that the talent is gone, his regular season numbers is still video game level. But when the playoffs hit, the franchise savior label fades fast. 2 losses, 2 meltdowns. That's enough for NFL scouts and analysts to start asking the uncomfortable questions. Does Herbert have the clutch gene? Can he be trusted when the season is on the line?
Are the Chargers getting their money's worth with Justin Herbert?
One rival scout summed it up perfectly after the Houston loss. He's a much better quarterback than he showed that day, but it's becoming a thing with him in the playoffs. He gotta push through the barrier or it's gonna define him. And that's the truth. The Chargers aren't throwing him under the bus. In fact, they've been shielding him. Jim Harbaugh called him a beast in that Texans loss, blaming the scheme and the protection. The front office compares his early career to Peyton Manning or Lamar Jackson, implying that the big wins will eventually come. It's a nice defense, but it also feeds a bigger conversation.
Do not make everybody worse to make Justin Herbert better. Austin Eckler, he ain't that good.
Okay.
Keenan Allen, he's not that good. We have made everybody worse so that we can make Justin Herbert better.
Justin Herbert stands at a career crossroads, staring down 2 different legacies. On one path, he finally delivers real January glory and sheds the burden of playoff failures. On the other, he risks becoming a modern Phillip Rivers, a quarterback praised by eye-popping stats, but forever haunted by an empty ring finger. The doubters have grown louder after each crushing disappointment, so much so that analyst Emmanuel Acho have jokingly dubbed him the social media quarterback, implying his highlights are good enough to go viral, but he goes missing when it counts.
Justin Herbert is a social media quarterback. TikTok videos, Twitter clips. He makes social media throws. And on social media, they don't show you interceptions. That's not fun. People aren't going to retweet a bad sack. People aren't going to retweet a bad decision. But that is who Justin Herbert is.
And most recently, after Justin's 4 interception game, Emmanuel finally said it.
I came on the show and I said Justin Herbert is the most overrated and overpraised quarterback in NFL. I would suggest he might be the most overrated and overpraised quarterback in the history of the NFL.
He's citing the Chargers' 3 games for 1-and-in failures, the overtime loss in Vegas to miss the 2021 playoffs, the infamous 27-0 collapse against Jacksonville, and now the Texans debacle. This is the kind of narrative that can stick to Justin's back if nothing changes. But if the haters fuel Herbert's fire, his new head coach is busy fanning the flames of belief. After arriving in LA, Jim Harbaugh immediately went to bat for his young star, showering him in bold praise. No doubt in my head that Justin Herbert is not only the greatest quarterback in the NFL today, but truly one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time. I mean, that's what you're supposed to do as a head coach. And Harbaugh isn't just paying lip service either. He's all in on maximizing Justin's potential. In one interview, he revealed a 3:30 a.m. epiphany.
Woke up the other day and said, I got to get Justin Herbert to the Hall of Fame.
Woke up and said that?
Yeah, it's just one of those things where you wake up and kind of like 3:34 in the morning.
Right.
And sometimes that's when your best ideas come.
True to his word, Harbaugh and the Chargers front office retooled the roster to help Herbert. They invested heavily in protecting him and added weapons. The message is clear: no more excuses. With a new head coach, new pieces around him, and unwavering internal support, all the ingredients are there. Now it falls on Justin to cook up something the franchise hasn't tasted in decades: a deep playoff run. Statistically, his trajectory has been nothing short of historic. Through 5 seasons, he has amassed over 21,000 passing yards and 137 touchdowns. Great numbers that put him on pace with the game's elites. In fact, If he throws for about 1,600 more yards and 13 more touchdowns, he'll crack the NFL's top 100 all time in both categories. And the way he plays, he's projected to hit those milestones by mid-2025, likely by October. That's Hall of Fame pace stuff for a 27-year-old quarterback. The comparison is impossible to ignore. Herbert's name is rising alongside legends in the record books, even as it remains absent from the list of playoff winners. The stats, the rocket arm, the prototypical 6'6" frame. He checks every box of a superstar quarterback, except the one that matters most: postseason success. As one writer noted, Chargers fans obviously want at least one playoff victory, of course, to validate those big time numbers. Justin himself is aware of the stakes. Every booming touchdown and 300-yard game in a regular season now carries a weight. That's nice, but can you do it in January? It's a heavy weight to carry, and the only way to shake it off is to finally break through. With Harbaugh in his corner and a stronger supporting cast, the excuses are gone. It's on Justin to shake off the demons of the playoffs past. No more late game stalls, no more heroic efforts wasted by collapse. He must finish the fight. So now I ask you, can Justin Herbert translate his elite regular season production into a playoff run that silenced the talk about being overrated and erase the Phillip Rivers comparisons for good? Or will the new year simply bring another heartbreaking collapse that cements the narrative of unfulfilled promise? The answer will for sure define his legacy.